Welcome to the Purpose Chasers podcast, where adversity meets ambition and setbacks become setups for something greater. I'm your host, Mark Crandall. After walking away from a $5.1 million construction sale, enduring loss, betrayal, a season of darkness, and a pile of financial devastation, I came back to the one thing I can't shake, helping people live on purpose. This podcast isn't about chasing dollars, it's about chasing calling. Every week, we shine light on creators, entrepreneurs, and artists who refuse to quit. People who kept moving forward when life told them to sit down. If you've ever been knocked down, counted out, or told no, you're in the right place. Because here, we turn pain into power and purpose into impact. Let's dive into this week's episode.
So can you kick off for those listening and give a kind of a background as to how you got to your success while diving into the fact that there are levels to this shit?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I got started. A lot of people know my story now, but I got started broke in college and went through 34 tries over 5 years. And the first 17, I didn't even know what a sales funnel was, much less really. No idea I was doing was really using the internet. Not that much anyway. And so when I finally got to like a spot where I was like, oh my gosh, like I got to focus on online. It did. It took quite a lot of tries to go forward and do it. And honestly, one of the biggest things that I had to learn was the difference between a sales funnel builder and a marketer. And I thought they were the same thing, and they are not. And so you are just one funnel away. You just have no idea which one it is. And then it's the skill set of I'll be totally transparent here too. I was building funnels for Russell at ClickFunnels, was the funnel guy over there for a little bit. And then Russell would be like, hey, we're going to go build this funnel. And then I'd go build that same type of funnel on my own early morning or late in the evening, to be increasing my own sales, and it wouldn't work. And I'd be like, I don't get it. This is the exact same sales funnel. And what it took me a while to understand was I needed to take a step back and look to see what Russell Brunson was doing after he told me what to build. Because there was all these things that he was doing in front of the sales funnel that was making it be successful. Meanwhile, I thought it was the funnel itself, and it's not. Funnels are very powerful, but they're not marketing. Funnels capture the effects of marketing. And that shift right there is really what changed it for me. And when I left, I worked there for about 2 years, and then I was like, okay, I got to go, man. Like I got the itch, So I left, and first million came in about a year later, and then another one after that, another after that, another after that. And it's been the process of which I was just describing, creating sales-based intention and noise in front of the funnel that's been all the difference. I don't actually build my own funnels anymore.
Can you explain that to the average Joe that might be listening that's not a funnel nerd like you or I? Like what is because I understand what you're saying, the noise before and after, the know, like, and trust factor, but can you explain it and break it down to me? Because I just gotta say, I follow you, so I know what you're doing. You're everywhere, right? You're over here and you're on this and you're doing this. So, by the time people actually get to your funnel, I know that they know who the hell you are.
Yeah. And that's by design for sure. And that's been one of the major changes, So for like an example, I wanted to go launch this course, and it's been a course that a lot of people have asked me for. So I'm like, hey, that'd be exciting to get this out the door. No matter the product, online or offline, the biggest mistake people make, I feel like, on the internet is they tell the following if they have one. Even if they don't, the first time they ever mention the fact that they have a product is the day it's available. The first day it's available. They don't build any pressure up for it. We look at the way Hollywood launches a product, movie, right? You turn around and they launch a product by a year before, just dropping the title with a cool splash graphic, coming soon next year. You're like, oh my gosh. And then we get like 6 months passes, and they'll drop like a full-length preview. And then a few more weeks go by, then it's another preview, but now it's about the antagonist. And they build up this pressure like a month before, a few weeks before the thing's actually available in theaters. All the actors go on tour, and basically, and they get all the Tonight shows, and they had all And they're like, oh my gosh, let's watch this sweet scene. What'd you think about that sweet scene? Was that fun? Go ahead and watch it this weekend in theaters. This, and that's, they're literally hitting that's a launch. The problem is that with any product, we tend to think that the idea is the value as the entrepreneur. It's not. And so we hold the idea and we're like, don't tell anyone what it is yet. Someone's going to steal it. Someone's going to take it. I mean, I did the exact same thing for quite a while. And I would spend all my time trying to build this amazing product, this amazing thing, and never tell a soul about it before it was available. And so there was no pressure launch. There was no, there's no like celebration thing. People are like, oh wait, what is this? And now, I mean, one of the campaigns I just did is, and I don't think Facebook is a campaign, but basically one of the campaigns I just did is there was this course I wanted to launch and I wanted to get out there. Instead of me just building it and saying, it's available, come by, we worked backwards 3 months. And we said, hey, right before this, let's say, I think I released it on a Thursday. Well, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the same week, I did a little mini virtual summit. And then I promoted the summit like a month earlier. And then before that, there was this other thing where I had all these other people come to an event right before Funnel Hacking Live, and we captured lots of stories for the event. There was basically this multi-step increasing levels of attention and awareness and noise in the direction of the future funnel. And what that does is it helps ensure the fact that your sales, your product, has a much stronger chance of success. And that skill set right there, that's what I believe marketing is. Marketing has very little to do with posting stuff on social media. That's a method. But marketing itself is the way you introduce the product to the marketplace. That's literally been the difference between failure and freedom for me. That's been it though.
Something that I've heard you share until you're blue in the face. And I think I've probably even seen you blue in the face a couple of times. I've seen you speak now, I think 5 times, at least face to face and much more online. And so a lot of individuals, especially that I've worked with in the coaching and therapy niche, they don't understand the whole idea of offer, right? And I know that whenever I'm like thinking to create an offer, I will literally go troll what you're doing and what you're working on, because I know no one is going to create a better offer stack than you. And that's just been my experience with studying online marketers. But I used to think that the funnel was a failure, or the ad copy was a failure, or the email was a failure. But I've heard you say it over and over again. No, maybe you want to take a look at your offer, because those other things can suck. But if your offer is stacked, you're going to get clients. And the way that you break it down, and I know that you also have an event in which you focus on a lot of this. Can you spell that out to the average Joe of how to create an offer that is just like, dude, I've bought a ton of your stuff, right? Because even with upsells, and I'm in the marketing space, right? So I know, I'm like, oh God, here we go. But I'll read it and I'll be like, oh my God, I'd like that. I'd be stupid not to buy that. Right. How do you structure that? And how can you explain that to the average person, how to do that themselves?
Yeah, some big slices of humble pie I had to eat in order to learn that. For a long time, in fact, someone who's listening or watching this now, you might be on try number 5, or whatever. It's probably not your first attempt. And I'll tell you that besides not creating any noise before something is available, the other biggest problem that I had was I kept walking around asking myself, like, what should I sell? What should I sell? What should I sell? And it was like this question that I would kind of just rack myself with, I'm just like, oh, like this whip, it's like, they came up with something. How come I can't? How come they came up with, I know I can figure that out. They're making money off that. Like and it became this thing. I was like, what's wrong with me? How come I can't come up with like a really cool, genius idea? And so I spent too much time asking myself, what should I sell? What should I sell? What should I sell? And it wasn't until I changed the question that I got a different answer. And instead of what should I sell, this literally was the difference between the first few successes, and it's actually how I start everything now. It's among the top questions anyways that I start with. It's no longer what do I sell, it's who do I want to sell and what are they struggling with. That's way easier. The market will tell you what it wants you to sell them, but I wasn't starting at the who, I was starting at the product. And because of that, I mean, you don't actually, you've heard me say this too, you don't fill your own wallet. So it's like, as long as it's ethical and moral, who cares what I sell? It's more about who I want to sell. And I got to go find out and get clarity on those pieces and ask myself, who do I want to serve and sell? I find the major, this is how the offer creation process happens for me in like a nutshell. It's like, once I figure out who I want to sell to, I start asking the types of problems. Like I got to ask the question, what problems are they running into? I'll list out a ton of their existing problems that they already know as a problem. Not all problems pay me the same when I solve them. Like, I could solve the problem of how to put trash in trash can. That's not a very valuable problem. It's a problem. It's not valuable though. So I'm like, I want to solve valuable problems, And so I'll list out all these problems of my dream future customer that I'm seeing that they're dealing with, and I'll choose a valuable one and try to solve it. And then it's from that spot that I go back to that dream customer and I say, what else are you struggling with around this problem? That's how I create all my bonuses. And so what ends up happening is that the offer that I create really doesn't have me in it a lot. And that's been a major shift. It's highly focused on the dream customer. It's highly focused on their problem, their follow-up problems after they purchase. And that's how I put the offer together. Because I used to, when I was in college, it was like, I was taking entrepreneurship classes and studying all these books, and the way they start with how you come up with a product is like, they talk about branding a lot, or they talk about all this stuff that really is nice to have, but is not necessary for the sale. And then they talk about it in a way like, how come you can't come up with an amazing idea? You need to be this creative genius in order to have a great idea, And it's like, it was really, anyway, it was rough. And when I finally realized that this game has very little to do with being a genius and has everything to do with me understanding and listening to a marketplace, it means I get to act like a detective and just put the pieces together instead of come up with like Steve Jobs level creativity in order to make a sale. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that really helped.
And I'm thinking about that in first person, because I'm thinking about like hitting your pages, and your offer is solving something that I'm currently going through, maybe multiple things that I'm currently going through. So I want to get to what you're working on now. And I want to get there with this question, because you are a content creator and you're very good at it. And I know that you love having these conversations and carrying your work out into the world. How does a hustler, a busy do-it-all like yourself, scale themselves out of something as big as what you've built so that you can free up the space to create, the event that I know that you have coming up?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Really, there's a few simple tricks. There's been phases of entrepreneurship where I've recognized that I'm doing everything. And I've never seen anyone make $1 million on their own. It just doesn't happen. It's just like, the faster someone can get past the allure and the sexiness of being a solopreneur, and the faster it usually happens. You go faster together. So one of the things that I'll do, and this is just a simple technique, growing up, my dad taught me that. He said, son, if you want to make more money, always make sure that you're on the revenue generating side of a business. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, he was a software architect. So he was directly related to sales. The salesman would go sell something, and then he would design the solution. So he's related to the sale. They would take him on the sales call so he could sell these massive companies. And so he's like, who do you think goes first if a company starts to have issues? He's like, is it going to be the support people? Is it going to be, no offense, but is it going to be the janitors? Is it going to be no one? It's going to be all the people that have nothing to do with gaining and fulfilling on the sale. And so what I started recognizing with that as I started growing, and it was just myself, is that there were tasks I was doing which obviously made money, and then others that obviously didn't. So I have a very simple method. This is how I started it, man. It's not sexy. This is just what I did. As I write down I got to get stuff out of my head. So I write a big task list of everything going on in my head. Okay, in order to get this project out the door, what are all the things I got to do? And I would just list out tons and tons of stuff. And I would put a big green dot next to everything that was massively revenue generating. And I put a big red dot next to everything that wasn't. Don't do red dots. It's as simple as that. And as I started my first hire, I just handed them all my red dots. I said, here you go. This is what I want you to go do. I'm going to go focus on revenue, and you're going to focus on all the red dots. And as things have grown, though, I can't handle all the green dots anymore, and it takes more than one person to do the reds. It's super simple. It's not sexy. I know there's more sophisticated ways to pull that off, but that's how I did it at the beginning. The other thing is that Russell Brunson gave me a cool piece of advice as I was leaving, and I told him, I was like, hey, I'm going to go do $1 million. And he kind of laughed. He chuckled a little bit, and he goes, it's not as hard as you think. Well, okay, like, it's easy for you to say, pooping out of another $1 million funnel every 2 weeks, it feels like, but he was right, though. He said the one piece of advice he gave on the way out is, he said, your first hire should also be a revenue generating role somehow. And that really helped. And it made it so that I wasn't the only revenue driver right out the gate. So I handed a lot of red dots to that first guy, but I also handed him a bunch of green, a bunch of the revenue stuff. Now, as stuff has progressed, my role is a revenue generating one, and I'm really scared to outsource it. I hate the red dots. It's just not fun. Yeah. So I still hire that out freely. But when it comes to like what I do, I show companies how to design and launch lucrative offers, specifically online. There's this phase of green dot activities in the internet marketing world that isn't really being taken care of that much. And so we decided to put on an event that's coming up. It's nice of you to ask. It'll be in November, and it's called Offer Launch. And in the past, all of my events have been on how to create the offer, but I haven't really had a platform or the space to teach what I'm doing afterwards to make it successful. The offer creation thing is really important, but there's a ton of done products that are broke. What do you do with it afterwards? How do you get the attention it needs? Kind of like I was talking about at the beginning of this. So yeah, that's nice of you to ask, though. That'll be November. It's called Offer Launch, and it's all of my campaign strategies. I'm not a Facebook ads driver. I still don't know how to do that. So that's not what I'm talking about when I say campaigns, but there's a bunch of launch methods, and they're very different than my evergreen methods. And so whenever I'm designing a funnel or a product or an offer, I design the launch to get it out in orbit, but I also design the thing that will keep it in orbit. So I'm not living inside of this starving launch business where if I don't get another sale, like I'm going to die, and I got, it's just, that's the really emotionally intense way to run a company. So that's what the event's about.
And where can individuals find details for the event, which will also be in my show notes?
Oh, thanks, man. It'll be offerlaunch.com.
Awesome. As plain as it can be, offerlaunch.com. Yeah. Steve, I'm so grateful for who you are in the world, and whether or not you knew that little old me was sitting at that mastermind, and I had been following you and listening to you and couldn't really figure out how to monetize my own business. While, fast forward 2 years later, and I'm working with individuals on monetizing their own. So thank you so much for who you are, man, and your story and your realness, and the fact that you're willing to open up about, the teeth kicked in moments that got you eating ramen in college to, building your empire. So thank you so much for your time, brother. I appreciate you.
I appreciate it, man. It's been a pleasure. You're awesome.
Thanks for tuning in to the Purpose Chasers podcast. If today's episode hit home, don't just listen, engage. Follow me on Spotify, drop a review, and join the conversation over on YouTube at The Purpose Chasers or on Instagram at Organic Nerd Word. This is more than a podcast, it's a movement. And if you're here, you're already part of it. Remember, no amount of darkness can keep someone who's been called So keep chasing, keep building, and keep standing in your purpose. I'm Mark Crandall, signing off until next time. Let's get it.